My name is Gautam. His name is Mason. And today is the start of the winter meetings.
So
And
I'm
apparently,
actually,
Juan Soto.
but
Go ahead.
quick point. I'm actually in French Quebec, so it's Masson.
Oh, sorry. My bad. Mason.
Yeah, thank you.
Uh, do I need to go back from the top or can we just continue on here?
No, we can just continue on, but just
Okay,
from the
perfect.
rest of the episode, please refer to me by my French pronunciation.
Okay, I will promptly forget that. But let's go. So today we've got a chance for a major signing. Juan Soto might sign today, but the focus of this podcast is likely going to be what's happened in the last couple of weeks. There's been a steady trickle of free agent signings and moves that have happened. Um, so there's a lot to discuss, a lot to break down. I will say
So,
on the Soto thing, though, if it does happen, it could really kick off a huge week of winter meetings where a lot of action could happen. And traditionally, we haven't seen a huge amount of real transactions going on that are big, big moves. We've seen maybe smaller stuff that happens in winter meetings and then a lot of rumors bandied about. But I feel like a Soto signing to kick off the winter meetings could lead to a different kind of panic
well,
mode.
and so this just feels a lot different than it has in years past. And honestly, the mood has felt different since the new CBA went into effect. I can't remember exactly what it was that was in the CBA that was kind of starting to spur teams signing players earlier. But it really does seem that with the new CBA, things have started to shift to where we're seeing teams sign their players earlier. We're getting away from this wait till right before spring training starts, maybe even delay, like for guys like Jordan Montgomery and Blake Snell that just last year did not get spring training and they had to use the first month of the season as their spring training. We've kind of been finally drifting away from that, from the years of Bryce Harper and Manny Machado signing incredibly late, and that being the first thing that happened that offseason. Like
I was
we've
gonna
had
say
some
that's the one
big.
the Machado and Harper offseason. That's the one year where the biggest free agents didn't sign till late.
Mhm.
Usually, still the big guys they'll sign in the month of December, but I agree that it seems like now it's being more front loaded in the off season. I think it's a good thing. It's really better that they sign earlier. It's better for everybody involved.
Yeah, I mean, one, it gives us something to talk about for the months
We're the most important
between.
part of this whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if they're not thinking about us, who are they thinking about? Nobody. So
Nobody.
yeah, but no, this has been a wild off season so far. There's been a lot of moves that I wasn't expecting to happen that have happened, and I think that maybe the best way to do this is just let's get into it.
Yeah, let's do it. So maybe this is the one. Maybe this is one that you weren't expecting. Blake Snell signs a mega deal to become a Los Angeles Dodger right after their World Series championship. And Blake Snell got like a lot of money. He got um a was it a 5-year deal or was it a 6-year
I
deal?
I believe it was a 5-year deal.
It was a
I'm looking
5-year
that up
deal
right now.
worth 182 million.
Well, dang, they haven't even updated it on roster resource yet. This still says
Oh, okay.
262. Um, well, let's see here. The Doyers payroll. Blake Snell, 5-year, 182 with a 2030 club option, and a whole bunch of deferrals to lower that AAV.
Yeah. So it's deferrals, but I'm gonna make the point here. Actually, I'll wait till the end of this discussion. Let's talk about Blake Snell first. Then I'll talk about the deferrals portion of it. But Blake Snell is getting paid a lot of money for the top end talent that he can provide any team. When Blake Snell's on, he can be a top five, he can be the best pitcher in the league.
This is a
And
man
there's
with two
very
Cy.
few.
This is a man with two
Yeah.
Cy Youngs, so he definitely can be the best.
Yeah. It's also a kind of it's a move that only few teams can make because there's major risk in Blake Snell's profile because he's never been a guy that throws 180 innings. He's done it 2 times, and I think those are the 2 years he won the Cy Young. Does that sound about
No.
right?
Oh, yes. That is correct. 2018
So
and
Blake Snell gets
2023.
to so basically if Blake Snell gets to 180 innings, he's probably going to be winning the Cy Young or at least like that top 5 pitcher in the league. In the other seasons, he has issues with racking up a whole bunch of innings. Just the way he pitches, he doesn't typically give you 6, 7 innings in a start because he is always looking for strikeouts. He's not afraid to walk a lot of batters. So he'll rack up the pitches as he goes through his starts. And that's just the Blake Snell experience. Um, the other
Yes.
part is that he has these stretches where he's terrible, and the Dodgers are a team that can withstand that because it's like, okay, if Blake Snell has like a couple months where he's not himself or he's the bad version of himself, then whatever, the good will far outweigh the bad, and that's why the Dodgers doing this.
Yeah, and to be honest, any team should have been willing to do this deal. I realize that sounds a little ridiculous because a lot of teams need healthy pitchers. And I mean, the Dodgers last year showed that
The Dodgers
really,
healthy pitchers.
yeah, well, but and while Snell is not always the healthiest, um, he is when he's on the field and he's had his time to kind of get himself right. He is the best pitcher on the diamond. And like kind of the same way that Chris Sale was this year, like they're very, in my mind, very similar guys. Both high strikeout guys, um, or both high strikeout lefties um, that kind of have injury issues in the past and aren't always on the field. But then Chris Sale finally got his Cy Young this year. He's had other times where he very much probably deserved the Cy Young and just didn't happen to win it. But I feel like they're two very similar guys who are thought about in entirely different ways. Like people are
I
concerned
think
about Chris Sale from purely an injury standpoint, but never the, oh well, he might not be that great for a couple of his starts. Like Snell is usually 24 of his starts are great, and it's like 8 that suck.
yeah,
Like that's a
I
that's a
like the
pretty
comp.
good.
I think the I think the reason that people don't make that comp is because Chris Sale was a lot healthier earlier in his career. He was actually highly durable, making a lot of starts, pitching a lot of innings. Snell's never really had that. So that's the only difference.
Yeah, but I mean, at least Snell pitches every year, and the same can't be said for Chris Sale.
Yeah,
So
and to give more credit to Blake Snell, he hasn't had an arm injury in like 5 years. It's been other stuff. So I see that as like a positive as well.
yeah. Now, I actually did kind of foresee this move. It made all too much sense from every perspective. One, the Dodgers can afford it, period, money wise. Blake Snell wanted to stay on the West Coast. His home is in Seattle. His family's out on the West Coast because he's been in San Diego for years and yada yada yada. So moving just up the road to and then he was in San Francisco this year, so just kind of staying in that area is pretty good for his family, and so why not? Like the
Yeah.
Dodgers need healthy, reliable starting pitching because Kershaw, you're not going to have him most of the year, and what are you going to get? It's probably going to be decent, but it's not going to be lights out. Tyler Glasnow is really freaking good. You're going to be missing him for about 2/3 of the season.
Glasnow is my comp for Snell. I think Snell is the left-handed version of Tyler Glasnow. It's
Yeah,
like
I mean
these
they're
guys are
exactly the
the
same.
best. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's I don't know. I feel like Glasnow is another one of those guys that a lot of like common fans don't think about. So it's like you
Yeah, because
almost
he
have to
never
try
pitches
and
more
comp him.
than yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I like this move a lot. Um, the contract has a couple oddities to it. So one, the club option, only exists if Snell is not traded and spends more than 90 days on the injured list.
Wait, can you repeat that second part? It does or it doesn't exist
It
with the IL thing?
only exists if he is on the injured list for 90 or more days. If he stays healthy for 5 years and does not have an extended IL stint or multiple short ones that add up to 90, there's no club option. He just becomes a free agent again.
That's very interesting. I've never heard of that type of option, but
I hadn't either, but which is why
okay.
whenever I was looking at roster resource and my face was just kind of, that's what that was. So,
Yeah. So, quick side question here. If all those Dodgers guys, this is a huge if because of their health histories, but if 1 through 5 stay healthy throughout the season, like this is
okay,
hands
question.
down like one of the most insane rotations ever.
Question: Who is 1 through 5? Glasnow,
Okay, let's
Snell.
go through it.
Is it Bobby Miller, Gavin Stone?
Hey, you're forgetting the big guys, right? You're forgetting Yamamoto and you're forgetting Otani.
Oh shit! Yeah, Yamamoto, Otani, Kershaw, Landon Knack, and
No,
one
then
other
no.
guy that I forgot.
You're going to like the fifth, the sixth, and seventh guys. I mean, they're
Well, yeah,
surely
but
going to
but
play a
they
role here.
they have 9 starters, and they're gonna need them all with the health that
Right.
these guys got. But so I mean, really, you're looking at a 6-man rotation because Otani.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you got Yamamoto, Otani, Snell, Glasnow, Bobby Miller, and
Kershaw.
then Kershaw, and then
Well, I'm
Gavin
just
Stone is
assuming
the first
Kershaw's
guy
coming
in.
back.
He said he wants to play,
Uh,
and he also said he's never going to play anywhere but the Dodgers. So assuming the Dodgers sign him,
he'll be back. Yeah.
so is Gavin Stone the first man out?
Gavin Stone is injured.
Oh, is he getting Tommy John?
I can't remember exactly. I think it's Tommy John.
Well, that's awkward.
Yeah.
I could tell you. Gavin Stone shoulder surgery that he got in
Okay.
October on the 9th.
He's going to be out for a while, probably the whole season.
So the Tommy John guys were Emmett Sheehan, River Ryan, and Kyle Hurt.
Yeah, that's tough. Those are good depth starters to have, and they're clearly gonna have. Oh, they've got Tony Gonsolin coming back too.
Good lord. Okay, so interesting. So Bobby Miller's actually not even included in here in the roster resource version of the top six. It's
Yeah, Bobby Miller was
Snell,
horrible this year.
Yamamoto, Glasnow, Otani, Gonsolin, Dustin May, who I completely
Yeah,
forgot about.
he's also coming back from some gruesome type injury.
His Tommy John was not correct, and then he tore it again, right? So he got it.
Yeah, but then he was coming back from that, and he like, I think he like tore his esophagus or something. It was not good.
How do you tear your esophagus?
I don't know, man. I don't want to think about it.
All right, then let's move on.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So, but on paper, those top guys, there's no matching them in any other with any other rotation in the league. I think it's pretty clear.
Yeah.
Um, let's keep going here, and we can talk about the deferrals when we get to. Let's just talk about Tommy Edman now, actually, because the Dodgers made one other move in the last 2 weeks. They signed Tommy Edman to a
To
5-year
a
extension
Yeah, it
from
was
2025 through 2029 that's worth
five.
$74 million, and
Yeah,
some of that money is deferred.
with a $13 million club option in 2030 again. So yeah, basically they've deferred. So I think they have deferred money on Will Smith, Tommy Edman, Yamamoto. Yes on Yamamoto, no on Yamamoto. I think
I don't
Yamamoto's
know
a
about
straight
that.
up.
I think it's straight up.
I
Freddie,
think
Mookie, Shohei,
Freddie, Mookie, Shohei, Edman, Snell,
Will Smith.
Will Smith. I think there's one more.
Uh, don't know. But regardless, it's a lot of deferred money. I learned some new stuff about deferred contracts. That's pretty interesting, though. The team has to earmark the money the season after by July 1st of that year. So, like Shohei, $68 million,
Mm-hmm.
it has to go somewhere in July of 2025 for the 2024 season, even though they're not paying him until 10 years in the future.
Yeah,
It either goes
so
into like some fund that they can grow, or it just goes in a bank account and says, "Okay, here you go." So it's not like they're getting out of paying those dollars. Also, for the luxury tax, they're not just getting a free get out of jail free card. They have to still, um, they're still paying, or the luxury tax number is the present day value for that season. So for Shohei, it was 46 million for 2024 and every season actually.
yeah, which is all a projection based on what they think inflation is going to be.
Right.
Which that's maybe the one place where it's a little bit of a weird number that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Because I mean, hell, in the last 2 years we've seen some ridiculous inflation, and then now we're back to normal. So like that kind of devalues his contract quite a bit right there. So
But it's all
like
just for the calculation, right? It's not like
yeah,
you got to do something.
yeah, but yeah, I think the main reason that they do this, because you're right, they do have to actually like put that money in a bank account, and that's something that we had actually talked about when Shohei signed his deal last year, because that was one of the big things with it is like he's only getting $2 million. The rest of it's all going to be paid out later, but they did have to put in that 46 million into an account that was expected to grow to the 700
68.
million, or yeah,
Yeah.
that 68 million into an account. No, they had to put the AAV and put it in an account that the interest rate was going to grow to it.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, so they're putting in the present day value in an account that's expected to earn this, and then they'll have to cover whatever it doesn't reach at that point. But
Yes.
um yeah, so it's a really weird situation, and any team can do it, but that's also kind of why teams don't necessarily, because you do have to spend that money now. It's not like it's just free money now.
Yeah, and that's I think the part that's forgotten. People are just thinking that, oh, they're just deferring off the money to some future date. They're basically going to pay later for what they're getting now. It's not exactly like that because they're going to be paying now too.
Yeah.
And what they're doing is different. They're blowing every other team out of the water in terms of what they're actually spending. So it's
Yeah,
I
they're
don't know.
I'm curious what their total like guaranteed money owed for this year is, because it's definitely more than 305 uh yeah, $305 million, which is their uh
Luxury tax.
estimated luxury tax. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. It's a lot of money.
Yeah. And we don't even know what
Um
some of these ARB guys are going to get this year.
yeah. But do you have any other like comment on what the Dodgers are doing right now? Do you have a problem with it?
I mean,
I mean,
I
I
don't
don't.
have a problem with it. I understand why people do have a little bit of an issue with it, because the way it works, you're not going to see a team like the Rays that are going to put a whole bunch of money in the bank earmarked towards a person just to get them there. Like, they're still cheap. They're going to continue to be cheap, and they're never going to do this, even though they could. And so this really is just a way to kind of help massage the luxury tax, which it's a soft cap anyway. They could spend over it. I don't care if they're not getting taxed for it. That goes to the other owners that are not going to spend that money somewhere. Let them pay the players. So, but that's gonna be the only real argument that someone else would have, is that it's skirting around the rules. Well, yeah, but
and to
it
that
doesn't
point,
matter.
I'm worried that come the next CBA negotiation, there are going to be specific rules to curb the Dodgers. And I hate that because that just makes it, I mean, it's definitely worse for the players. And it's, I would say it's worse for the league too, but I think the other owners would not agree to that.
I was going to say curb the Dodgers, and we've already seen them try and curb Steve Cohen, and I think he's just going to keep going with it.
Yeah.
So it's one of those that I don't know. I think we're going to see a rift between the ownership groups again. Because I think at some point Hal is going to be forced to kind of jump into that same realm. It might be tonight.
It
we'll
might be
see.
tonight.
It might be
Yeah.
tonight. Which is actually
Yeah.
why I'm looking at my phone right now, is just to make sure that it hasn't happened. It has not. I think
Okay,
we'll get a
good.
notification on it pretty quick when it does.
I would imagine so.
But
Yeah. Well, anyways, yeah, I don't want to be the doom and gloom guy like a few years early, but I do think we're heading towards another bad negotiation, and it's not going to be smooth.
I'm thinking there's going to be another lockout.
I think there could be, yeah.
All right, who else we
But we've
got?
got a couple years until then. For now, let's talk about um, Brady Singer, who was traded to the Reds for Jonathan India and Joey Weimer. So this is a trade of major league players for major league players, which is always interesting to look at because it's not like a prospect swap or prospect for veteran player. And this is like a clear situation where both teams are trading from a surplus and they're trying to add to one of their weaknesses. The Reds get Singer, who's coming off a pretty good full season with the Reds. And then I guess the thing that I'm worried about with Singer is that he's going from like a really great place to pitch in Kansas City to probably the worst place to pitch for giving up home runs. And that's something that Singer struggles with, especially against left-handed hitters. I'm kind of worried about him going to Great American Ballpark and having duplicating his season from 2024.
I mean, I'm kind of afraid of anyone going into Great American Ballpark and having success. So, I, I mean, as far as this trade is concerned, I do think that the Reds and Brady Singer are way better off than the Royals are getting back Jonathan India and Joey Weimer. So the
Interesting.
Royals, the reason that the Royals went out and did this trade is because they have really no middle infield that can do anything with a bat. Their third baseman is their leadoff hitter, and he is like a 220 or 230 hitter. And Michael Garcia.
Michael Garcia. Yeah.
So they went out and got Jonathan India, who is expected to slot in as their leadoff guy. Well, from a batting average standpoint, India is not much better. He's a
But it's not
career
about
two.
batting average.
It's not
It's
about
about
batting
OBP.
average. Yes, but please hold. So batting average wise, better, 250 career average. His OBP 350 career OBP, which is significantly better. But he's not really in. He's not bringing that much more offense to the table here for this team. And maybe he is. He's a decent player. He's got 2 more years before he is a free agent, as does Brady Singer going back to the Reds. So it's a little bit weird because you get him and you get Joey Weimer, who I do not have really
Okay, then I'll take the Joey Weimer part of this trade. Okay,
Well, I was going to say I
so
don't have any hopes for him,
okay. Well, I was
but
gonna say with the Royals outfield, they I do not like the Royals outfield at all. They've got like Kyle Isbell, Hunter Renfroe. Um, who else is out there?
no longer MJ Melendez, right? They just DFA'd him
No, no, he's
or
still there.
non-tendered him. I thought they
I
non-tendered him.
think he's still there. Really? No way. They couldn't have.
Mm,
He's one of their better players.
oh, maybe they didn't. What was I thinking? They non-tendered somebody that kind of surprised me. Who was that?
Uh, Hampson? No, he's a free agent.
Mm, I don't remember.
But anyways, their outfield's pretty hopeless. You agree to that, right? Like it's not
Yeah,
good.
yeah, I would agree with
So
that.
you bring in a guy in Weimer. Weimer is not necessarily going to pan out, but he's a guy that at least has tools. He can play center field. Probably put him in a corner. He's a great defender. Um, very
I,
fast. Runs the bases well, and he's got power too.
I
That's
mean,
something that they're lacking.
I really think that he's more just a fourth outfielder, defensive replacement speed guy. I don't
Totally
see
agree.
there
Totally
being.
agree. Like most likely, you are correct. He's probably just going to be a bench outfielder. But I think he's kind of like a lottery ticket. He's like he could be more. There's actual upside there.
Yeah,
So
but he's also on his third team in 2 years. So
that
it,
means teams
it's
wanted him, right? They
it,
traded for him.
either teams wanted him or he was just the other piece that was maybe a diamond in the rough that maybe somebody could figure out.
Yeah.
And so far they haven't. Like
Yeah.
it's
Fair.
one of those
It's all fair. Yeah.
It's one of those Taylor Trammell guys. It's like he
Yeah.
had a lot of tools. Nobody could figure out how to unlock them. And I feel like Joey Weimer might be one of those guys.
Okay.
Whereas
So
on
we're
the
taking
other
different
side of
sides
it,
on Joey Weimer. Yeah.
Whereas on the other side of it, you have Brady Singer, who finally started to break out and become the pitcher that he was expected to be when he was a first round pick, the 18th overall back in 2018. This past, really, the past 3 years have been significantly better for him than his rookie and sophomore seasons. He had a rough ERA there in 23, but overall, he pitched over 150 innings each of those 3 years. Made almost all of his starts. He started 32 games this year. His strikeout rate has been holding pretty steady in the eights. His or eight per nine. He's had pretty solid ERAs. Granted, it was in Kaufman. Um, like there's a lot to like with Brady Singer here, and his home run rate is not that egregious either. Granted, Kaufman. So we'll see how that changes when he goes to Great American Ballpark with the power alley in right field that makes left-handed hitters gods.
Yep.
But I really do think he's going to end up being the second best pitcher on this team, behind Hunter Green and right in front of Nick Lodolo. So I really think that for 2 years of Singer, they're going to get more value than the Royals are going to out of 2 years of Jonathan India and 5 years of Joey Weimer.
Yeah. I think last thing on India is that yeah, I kind of agree he's not that great like a hitter or anything, but it's the Royals just saying we have a serious deficiency with on base percentage. And we know this guy, he's got his like if he's got one skill at all, it's getting on base. He's actually quite good at that. Maybe he doesn't have any power. He doesn't really hit for average, whatever. But he's an upgrade. He's an upgrade for their lineup. So we take it.
Yeah, that's true. But I guess
So it might be a good deal for both teams. You know, it truly might be a solid move for both
the
sides.
the other part of it for me is that I don't think that the Royals really had enough depth in their starting rotation to make that a decent trade-off. Because they have Cole Reagans. They have Seth Lugo, who was a Cy Young contender this year. Michael Wacha signed back, and he's been pretty solid for them. But then you get to Chris Bubich and Alec Marsh, who
Bubic was kind of breaking out in the bullpen last year. I'm kind of interested to see what happens when he becomes a starter again.
yeah, but he was another one of those like 6 pitchers that were all in the first round of 2018, and we're getting pretty close to the end of the rope for a lot of these guys. This is Bubich's last chance, I think, and if it doesn't pan out with him, then you just shot yourself in the foot with your rotation. So
pretty interesting trade, I guess. And both India and Singer were teammates at Florida, and they were both first-round picks in the same draft, and they got traded for each other.
that is not a very common situation.
No, it's not. All right. Yusei Kikuchi has signed with
I say
the Angels.
Kikuchi.
You say Kikuchi.
I say Kikuchi. We're agreeing here.
Yes.
Okay.
That feels like the modern version of who's on first. I feel like we gotta start that.
All right, we're gonna do it.
Yeah. Okay. So the Angels are out here being active, and they're
so
signing
Kikuchi
guys,
was
making trades.
363. I cut Gautam off before he said that.
All good. I mean, what is there to say about this one? Like, it's good. It's good in the sense that the Angels signed a good player. Like that, you got to give them credit for that. But it's also like, okay, doesn't really do a whole lot for me because.
So, I think in a vacuum, I don't necessarily have any opinions on that move. But when you look at signing Kikuchi, bringing in Kyle Hendricks on a 1-year deal, bringing in Travis d'Arnaud on a 2-year deal, they are trying to bring in some guys that have a legitimate track record of being able to eat innings in a way that's also going to benefit you. They got a catcher to come in and help take a little bit of the load off of not Neto. Oh, Hoppy. There we go. And d'Arnaud, and they're trying to just solidify their battery with guys who are going to be able to help your Reed Detmers, your
Jose Soriano.
Jose Soriano, help these guys out to actually develop into the players that they thought they could be when they were drafted. I mean, Reed Detmers was a top 10 pick in his draft, and he's been okay, but he's not been good. And so bringing in these guys who might actually be able to help them, because the Angels system was abysmal and not able to do that for them. It looks like this is almost more of an on-field coaching type of move to help develop these guys a little late, but effectively. And so I really like it. I think it's a good move, but it doesn't seem flashy.
Like specifically for Reed Detmers, Yusei Kikuchi might be like the perfect guy to work with because they are both power lefties, and those guys, like, there aren't a lot of them. Probably hard to coach it, and here you got a guy you're gonna now work alongside that's kind of showed that he's a mid rotation, if not like borderline number 2 starting pitcher, and he's going to be their best pitcher easily this year. And
yeah. And then you've got d'Arnaud, who, while not the greatest defensive catcher ever, it does have a lot of experience working with pitchers, working with rotations and bullpens to kind of get the most out of their stuff. And you have Kyle Hendricks, who can teach a guy not to just throw, but to actually pitch. So you kind of have 3 different perspectives here that you're all bringing in at the same time for guys who are quite old in the baseball sense. But I think this might actually pan out and be one of the best moves that the Angels have made in years from a pitching standpoint.
Yeah. I'll also add that they traded for Jorge Soler as well, so they've got another big bat in their lineup.
Yeah, so between d'Arnaud and Soler, you just added a lot of power. They might not lose the division.
Yeah.
Might.
And the Angels remain in such a weird spot where each one of these individual moves, it's like, how can you even argue against it? It's like, seems like a fine move in a vacuum, and they have to go for it, right? They have to continue to
Yeah.
try to compete, even though they're probably not really a competitive team this year.
Yeah. I mean, you still have Mike Trout, and you're trying to do something with his talent. So
Yeah.
you're kind of in a box, but at least try and make the best of it. And I think they are right now. I think Perry Manassian, this is maybe the most comfortable I've been with any of his moves in the past couple of years.
Yeah, I agree. Two starting pitchers that are kind of in the same bucket, I'll say, signed 2-year deals each. Frankie Montas, 2-year, 34 million with the Mets, and Matthew Boyd, 2 years, 29 million with the Cubs. So these are kind of like the middle class pitchers that are kind of in high demand right now because teams are like almost signing these guys up because they know that once the big name guys are gone, then it's going to be like a mad scramble to go out and get your backup plans. Why not just get them initially?
Yeah, that's a good point. And I was sitting here thinking, is Frankie Montas going to end up being this year's Luis Severino or Jose Quintana
Sean
or
Manaea.
Sean Manaea? Just a guy who kind of he had promise, he was decent for a bit, and then he just kind of fell off the face of the earth. And then all of a sudden, the Mets revive his career. I don't
Yeah.
understand how that happens ever,
I
but
think we
sure,
have to start believing it now. The Mets are doing wonders with their pitchers. They also
yeah,
get to pitch in that ballpark that it seems to help the numbers as well.
yeah. But so the Frankie Montas move did not make sense to me at first, but now the more I'm kind of looking at it, the more I'm kind of maybe liking it. Like
Yeah.
he's still got talent. He's still not young, but he's not old either. He's only 30. He's going into his age 32 season. Like he's got some left in the tank. He's got talent. Maybe he just needed a new team. So we'll see there. We all know my thoughts on Matt Boyd. So
Yeah, he's the
I'll let
greatest pitcher of all time. Yeah.
frickin' hate it. All because of MLB The
Well,
Show. That's all it is. It's MLB The Show made me hate Matt Boyd.
yeah. Well, Matt Boyd is a guy that's like not been healthy in a long time. The last time he pitched, I think over 100 innings was 2019. He's had a Tommy John surgery in the time being. He's kind of bounced around teams. But in just a short number of innings and like playoffs last year with Cleveland, he showed that he still kind of got it. He still got some talent, and he's now been rewarded by getting like 29 million guaranteed. Like it's not a small sum of money for a guy that really you cannot count on him to pitch a lot of innings for your team.
Yeah, and he has the added benefit of being a lefty starter, which aren't all that common. Um,
Unless you're on
especially
the
to hit the
Cubs, and
free.
then all your starters are lefties.
Yeah. Um, interesting. I forgot about that. Yeah, that's weird. Uh, but I do think that this is a good move. Um, I still have questions on if Matt Boyd is going to be able to control his pitches at all, because that's kind of always been his problem is control. But he's effective, and no one can argue
Yeah,
that. So the control is really the only reason I don't like him. That's it. If he had just a
yeah.
little bit more control, I'd be a big Matt Boyd fan. But no, it's gonna suck seeing him a lot. I'm not looking forward to that.
Well, you probably won't see him that much because he'll probably be on the injured list most of the time.
That's fair.
Yeah. Two catchers signed in the last week. Kyle Higashioka got a 2-year deal to probably split time with Jonah Heim, I'm guessing. Higashioka is coming off a season where he basically had his best year ever. He hit, I think, 17 home runs. Uh, Basically took over the starting role by the end of the year from Luis Camposano, and good for him. Like, these are the guys that we should be talking about in free agency. Like, go get that bag, because he's worked for how many years, like in the minor leagues, worked through the whole
I mean,
arbitration process, finally made to free agency. How old is the guy?
he is 35.
He's 35, and he
He
made it to
he
free
did not
agency.
he did not make his major league debut until he was 27 in 2017. Played
Yeah.
9 games, and then 29 games the next year, 18 the year after that, 16 the year after that. So he didn't become like a fairly regular major leaguer until 21.
Yeah. And at that point, he was basically like Garrett Cole's personal catcher, and he's continued to like improve as he's gotten more and more playing time, and good for him. And now securing a deal, and I assume this means that he's gonna basically split time with Jonah Heim, because
I I
you
would
don't give a
assume
catcher
so.
this much money and just expect him to be like a pure backup.
Yeah, and I mean, Higashioka's biggest contribution is what he brings behind the plate. Like, you're not
True. Yeah.
expecting a whole lot at the plate. He's not a big OBP guy. He's not a big average guy.
Just
Like,
power.
yeah, 17 home run power. That's great. A
Yeah.
476 slug when he was only OPSing like what 700. So
Yeah.
that's pretty good. Um, but yeah, so he'll be kind of the defensive guy, and it'll give Jonah Heim a little bit of um, time at DH and kind of help out that way. I think this might help getting some of these guys like Scherzer and
Scherzer's a
uh,
free agent.
wait, what? How did I forget
Yeah.
that? Okay, DeGrom.
I don't know. Yeah.
He'll probably end up being DeGrom's catcher straight up, but I don't
True.
know. I like that
Uh,
move. I'm really happy for Kyle.
yeah. Same. And then Danny Jansen is going to become the Rays starting catcher for 1 year at least, signing for 8 million. I like this. This is like an under the radar move that nobody's going to talk about, nobody's going to care about. But if you look at what Danny Jansen did from 2021 through 2023, when he
Dude,
actually played,
breaking news. Breaking news. The Dodgers
okay, do your
just
newscaster
signed
voice.
the Los Angeles Dodgers of Dodgerton. just, just signed Michael Conforto.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's not what you thought I was going to
That
say.
is that's breaking news. No, I already saw it on my phone, so I just
Dang.
wanted you to have that moment though.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah,
Okay.
Jano.
Well, yeah, Michael Conforto is like he's like new Jason Hayward for the Dodgers. That's what I'm gonna say.
He's a little bit better than Jason Hayward was when they took him in,
Eh,
though.
yeah, yeah. But he'll probably be like that same type. They always bring in these older outfielders, and they're somehow good.
Yeah, that's true.
But what were we talking about? Jansen?
Jano.
Yeah, Danny Jansen. So I was saying that from 2021 through 2023, when he played, like this guy can hit. 2024 doesn't really show it. He didn't have good numbers. He split time between Boston um, and Toronto, but now he's with the Rays, and he's probably gonna get majority playing time. They didn't really have an incumbent catcher.
I was going to
I
say,
think
who
he's a
was their
solid
catcher?
defender. They had like random guys, Rene Pinto and God knows who. Like it
Oh,
wasn't.
Ben
They didn't
Rortvet.
really Ben Rortwet. Yeah, I like it. I think it's a good move because he's a both offensive and defensive catcher. He's just a solid catcher that you can plug in.
Yeah. So I like the signing. I think it's going to be good for Jano, just to kind of get a fresh start somewhere. See if he can turn back into the guy that he was with Toronto in 23 and before. And if he can, free agent again next year, he would have just turned 30. So he's got time to get a long-term deal. So
Yeah, and just the state of the catcher position in general, there's not typically good free agent catchers. So, like you're saying, if Jansen has a good season, he'll literally be like the best catcher available next year. And he
yeah.
probably was already one of the best available this year.
Well, and it's also going to work out really well for the Rays potentially because McClanahan's going to be back. Um, Taj Bradley and Shane Baz are both expected to be healthy to start the year. So give him a guy who is like a bona fide major league catcher and see what they can do. Because this might
I didn't
be,
even write this one on my. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, this might be like one of the best rotations Tampa's had in a while if they can stay healthy at the beginning of the year. But I think this would be like the best they've had on an opening day in a few years.
Yeah. And then I didn't even write this one on my sheet, but I just remembered that Gary Sanchez signed with the Orioles. So just one other catcher. You got any thoughts on Gary?
He's going to be a backup. Obviously, you don't really replace Adley.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's kind of just become a journeyman guy. He's
He's kind of
got
like a
power.
DH, honestly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he is. He's not.
He's like a backup DH.
Yeah, you don't want to put him behind the plate, but
No.
I don't know. We'll see. The Orioles have made some interesting moves here because outside of him, they just signed Tyler O'Neill to a 3-year, $49.5 million deal as well. So he's
Yeah.
going to become their left fielder, um, which I believe replaces Anthony Santander. Correct?
Yeah. I think that's basically them saying that, yeah, we're not signing this guy back because he's probably going to command a 5-year deal or whatever. Let's go
Yeah.
get the cheaper alternative that has equivalent power, essentially, in Tyler O'Neill, plus better defense, plus I don't know if he's younger, but maybe he's younger.
Uh, I I think they're about the same.
Probably around the same age.
I
Yeah,
well,
I mean,
O'Neill's probably a year older.
okay, yeah,
Uh,
they're close.
but I do like this because it's giving an opportunity for a couple really really good prospects in the system to potentially develop and take over that role from Tyler O'Neill, as opposed to locking down that position for 5 years and blocking out Heston Kjerstad, Judd Fabian, Enrique Bradfield Jr. Just a couple of these guys who were like really big prospects for them. Um,
Yeah,
so Vance Honeycutt, just they got this is a team that still has a ridiculous number of really good prospects coming up soon. So you kind of don't want to block them out.
yeah, I do. Yeah, that's a good point about Heston Kjerstad because I feel like right now he's kind of the odd man out because how's he going to crack this lineup with O'Neill and Colton Cowser, Cedric Mullins? Like they got a pretty like loaded group right here.
I mean, I think you're two spots in the lineup where he might be able to crack is if Ryan O'Hearn struggles.
Yeah,
And then you bring him in and you do some kind of a rotation with DH where you have Tyler O'Neill DH and you have Kjerstad out and left. Or Cedric Mullins starts out struggling and you bring him up to take over center field. At which point I think Cowser moves to center and Kjerstad goes to right, I think.
yeah, I think Cowser is the better outfielder. But yeah, I like the move. I think it's a fine move. They're also bringing in Mount Baltimore, so I think he's going to be hitting lots of home runs to left field.
Yeah.
And um, bigger question on the Orioles, and maybe we should just hold our judgment till the end of the offseason. But this is not like they seem like they're just being the same. They're taking the same mentality that they've had the last few years, despite the ownership change. It doesn't seem like they're going to go get Corbin Burns, But obviously, we should just wait to see what actually happens.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm concerned is with their rotation because right now they don't really have a guy that I'm looking at and I'm like, yes, he's going to be their number
The
one.
ace. Yeah,
It
they missed on Blake Snell and that pool of guys. It's really there's only two guys available in free agency now. It's Freed and Corbin Burns.
Yeah, and I think they're in on both, but it kind of doesn't feel like they're trying all that hard. So it's very possible that Eflin, Grayson Rodriguez, Dean Kremer, Albert Suarez, and Trevor Rogers are their starting rotation. And I think Grayson's going to take a step forward.
It's not
And outside of
inspiring
that,
though. It doesn't.
no,
It might be fine, but it's not like not good.
no, they're setting themselves up to have to win games in blowouts or in high scoring games. So
Yeah.
which is not necessarily the best way to do it. Because I think Bradish is out for I think the whole year, right? Because he had his Tommy John in late June,
Yeah, he'll probably miss the season.
and then Tyler Wells had Tommy John, well, an internal brace done the same week. So yeah, so I have no idea who they're gonna rock out there. But it's possible they're gonna try and bring up a couple prospects and Cade Povich and I don't know, maybe somebody else, but they don't really have any pitching prospects that are earth shattering by any means.
No, no, not at all. So yeah, and maybe trade is a possibility too. I know they've one like the biggest trade name that I can think of is Garrett Crochet. If he gets traded anywhere, that'd be huge.
So it sounds like
And
Crochet is actually potentially going to be traded tonight.
yeah, I saw that too.
Where'd that go?
I'll believe it when I see it, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, we got a few more here. Um, Korean infielder Song Kim has been posted. So his uh is it 45-day window or is it 30-day window?
So
I should just look it up.
Rokey's is 45 days, but his is a different situation because he's
It's a different
technically coming over as an amateur.
yeah.
I think
It's
it's a
also a
30
different
day.
country, so I don't know if it's like a different
Oh,
window.
that's true. I forgot about that. I think it might be a 30-day window for Korea and a 45 for Japan.
Yep, it's a 30-day window for Song Kim. So Song Kim, he just for a little info on him, he's like a 25-year-old second baseman. He's really fast. Doesn't have a lot of power, but really good uh, batting skill and on base skill. So he's just sort of like a. He was basically one of the better players in the KBO, and it'd be interesting to see if a team sees him as like a starter or if he's more of a utility man because I'm not really sure how his skill set's going to play. Um, but
If it
it's going to
plays
get
like his old
confusing
teammate, if
because
it if he translates the same way as his old teammate Hassan Kim, he'll be just fine.
yeah, no, that's exactly it.
Hassan and Haisong Kim, two different
Yeah,
guys. Uh, by the way, do you know how much Michael Conforto signed for with the Dodgers?
no, I don't.
Take a guess. It's a 1 year deal. Guess how much money?
Okay, 690 million deferred.
Almost
I'm going to say like 15 million,
17 million,
17 million. Okay, yeah,
which seems kind of high to be honest to me.
it does. Yeah, for a 1 year deal, you usually don't see those, but okay, they're the
It's not
Dodgers.
it's not my money.
Not my money. Um, Luis Severino has signed the richest deal in A's history. 3 years and 67 million. I was shocked when this happened. Was this one of your shock moves? I guess.
Oh yeah. Yeah, like why?
Why not?
One, he's gonna get rocked in Sutter Health Park. Like it doesn't matter how good he is if he has a ground ball to fly ball ratio or a home run per fly ball ratio, there is going to be like 100%. It's not that big of a park. It's kind of a hitter's park anyway.
Yeah.
It's a minor league park, which also tend to be more hitters parks than major league parks. It's a team that's still not really trying. Like they said they were going to raise payroll. Well, he basically doubled their payroll. So
Yeah.
like what
So you're
they're
not like a
they're not
you're
going to do
basically
anything
not a
else.
Severino believer, and I'm not either, to be honest. I
I
thought
mean,
that
I'm
he was okay with the Mets. I think that ballpark helped him a lot. He's not that same Severino guy that was borderline ace with the Yankees like 5 years ago. That guy's not around anymore, and the new guy's kind of being paid like he's some top of rotation arm, and I just don't see it. Like this seems like a weird way to use $67 million if you're the A's. I would have done so many other things. You could have done things, some other stuff, but maybe it's such a challenge to actually sign players with that team that you have to go and overpay.
I mean maybe, but this is just I don't get it. Why would you put yourself in that situation? Like granted, this is a team that just I think naturally is going to improve because just
They weren't that bad last year. They
well
weren't even last
they
place, right?
correct. Like they weren't that bad last year. They are returning basically their entire lineup from the end of the year. And
Yeah.
let me just read you the rounds that all of the guys in their starting nine were drafted. Lawrence Butler, 6. Brent Rooker, first round. JJ Bleday, first round. Shea Langoliers, first round. Tyler Soderstrom, first round. Zach Geloff, second round. Seth Brown, 19th round. Jacob Wilson, first round. Daryl Hernandez, fifth round. So like they have a lot of guys who were uh high ceiling prospects at some point.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like this could very well pan out. It just I don't like that it's possibly going to pan out with them trying as little as they possibly can.
Well, I guess you can't really fault them for the move, right? For like in terms of trying, because this move says that they're at least spending money on credible major league talent. Like
I want
Severino's
to
at least that. Like he's not bad.
yeah, I want to see them sign a second guy to like a legit free agent contract before
Yeah.
I say that they're trying more than just to uh give the appearance of spending money. Because that's what
Yeah.
this move on its own looks like. If they go out and sign a second starter or they sign like a decent reliever, um, maybe we're talking a little differently about it. So,
Yeah, but you reading that lineup, I don't think their lineup's like too terribly bad.
no,
If they just
I
repeat what they do and they get like a little bit of improvement on pitching, then you're talking about like maybe they could be a 500 team if everything fell right for them. They're not that bad.
yeah, I mean, Geloff was the weak link in their lineup last year, and we saw what he did the year before. Like he's got the ability. He just
Yeah,
had a
I'm kind
rough
of
year.
interested to
So
see like what a Jacob Wilson does with full
Jacob
playing time. Like
Wilson is the interesting one to me. And then I think Max Muncy is not too far out, is he?
I don't know. I haven't heard anything about him in a while.
Max
I'm
Muncy.
like looking on roster research. Like I'm looking for Oakland, and it's not there. It's just ATH at the beginning of the list. Could not
Yeah.
find it.
So Max Muncy made it all the way up to AAA. I I kind of think that he'll be up, especially if Geloff struggles. I think we see Max Muncy at second base pretty early.
Yeah,
So,
definitely could.
but this is a
Okay.
young team.
Yeah, they are. Other than Brent Rooker, right?
It's Seth Brown, but
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's a young team, and it's definitely an improving team. Like, I think guys were taking lots of their guys were all taking steps forwards at the same time. Like Blade, Lawrence Butler had a straight up like second half.
they only have 5 guys
Shea,
on their entire 26 man that are over the age of 30.
wow, yeah. So
Damn.
yeah, they have money to spend. They should. But
Dang.
yeah, I guess to your point about this being like fake money being spent just to show that they're spending, it could be that. Maybe it is because they're hiding behind the line that they're going to ramp up their payroll as they move to their new stadium so they're ready like for full spending capability when they move to Las Vegas. And okay, like let's see it. Let's see this happen.
Another point to how this is fake money. So
Yeah.
it's a 3-year, $67 million contract, but it's not necessarily.
There's an
It's
opt
a
out.
it's a 2-year, $48 million contract with a $19 million player option, which will probably end up being picked up, to be honest. But really, if things go the way that they probably want, he's gonna pitch well enough to opt out and get paid more than 19 mil. So it's only a 2-year deal. It's not like they're locking in a guy for a long time.
Yeah. So yeah, to me this is yeah. So it's just in the same Frankie Montas, Matthew Boyd, just a few extra million per year, but it's really that group
Yeah.
where this one fits. Okay. Well, what about Clay Holmes? What do you think about Clay Holmes becoming a starter again? And he's going to the Mets, who are now apparently amazing at working with pitchers.
Well, they're gonna need to be because he was struggling last year at the end of the year. Like,
Yeah, but I like this move a ton, and I think I like Clay Holmes. Like I think he's good, and if they can keep his control in check and whatever stretch him out, I don't remember Clay Holmes ever being a starter, so
so
that could be
Clay
interesting.
Holmes was a starter in uh most recently he was a starter for the um
Pirates. What happened?
Indianapolis
Oh,
Indians
okay. So he's
in
never done it as a big leaguer. That's why I can't
in
remember it.
2017, and he pitched 112 and 2/3 innings.
Yeah.
2016, 136 innings. And then 2015, he only started 9 games across rookie and high A. Didn't pitch in 2013 or in 2014. In 2013, 119 innings. So he's only had 3 years where he's pitched over 95 innings.
Yeah.
So this is potentially going to go very poorly.
But I don't think it matters because it's not like they committed a huge number of dollars to him. Worst case, they just make him a reliever again, and it's not that bad.
330, 12.
Who cares? Good relievers.
Yeah, I guess I'm thinking back to the time where that was a lot of money for a reliever because that's the same contract that um oh crap, the guy that pitched for the Cardinals a couple years ago that was just when we were at Rose. Um
Which guy?
I'm trying to
You're like
remember who it
breaking
was.
up on me too.
Oh, I thought you were breaking up on me. Um the Cardinals brought in a pitcher in 2015. Was it Matt
Oh,
Bowman?
Mike Leake.
No, it was a reliever.
Oh, Brett Cecil.
Yeah, Brett Cecil. There we go. It just that's the
Brett Cecil
same
got a
contract.
4-year. No, he got a 4-year, $30 million deal. Thought
Oh,
it was a
so it was
lot
even
less.
less, and I thought that was a lot of money for a reliever. Wow,
Well,
times have
he was
changed.
a terrible reliever, so that's the difference.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Although Yankees fans remembering the postseason only would also argue Clay Holmes is a terrible reliever.
Yeah. No, I think um, it's pretty low risk, and if the Mets can continue their success with finding stuff out of they're making the most of these guys that they're signing, and so I expect it to go pretty well. And worst case, he just becomes a solid back end of the back rope of the bullpen kind of guy, and it's fine. But it is interesting that more teams are trying to make these reliever to starter swaps, and it's actually worked out for quite a few of them. Like if you think to like Seth Lugo, just 3 years ago, he was a reliever. He just became a starter again.
Jordan Hicks last year.
Garrett Crochet.
Yeah. And he's about to be traded for a pretty big haul.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Okay. Last one here. Big one. Willie Adames has signed a 7-year, $182 million contract with the Giants.
so my first thought, where do was it Tyler Fitzgerald?
Yeah.
Where does he go? Does he go to
That's your
second
first
base?
thought?
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know.
Well,
Maybe.
so I realize that it seems a little ridiculous that that's my first thought. I was just thinking Tyler Fitzgerald actually did a really good job for them last year after coming up and playing shortstop. No, we're
Yeah, he
bringing in
did,
Willie
but he
Adames.
also he seems like a fluke. Like he seems like a fluke guy. If you look past the surface numbers, it seems like this guy randomly had massive power after having zero power basically as a minor leaguer. So I'm not I'm not sold on Tyler Fitzgerald, and clearly Buster Posey wasn't either. He goes and gets like a reliable option he's not like a superstar, but you kind of know you're getting a really solid player in Willie Adames.
Yeah. No, well, and the one other thing that comes to my head with it is I guess that kind of tells you what they think of Marco Luciano at this point.
Yeah.
Because the only place that Luciano would go now is probably second base.
I
Because
think
you've
he
already
might
locked
go to the
down.
outfield because it doesn't seem like he's a great. They don't think he's a very good defender.
That's fair. And Yaz is probably on his way out the door. So
I think they just
maybe.
re-signed him,
I thought it was to 1 year though, wasn't it?
or it was like arbitration deal or something.
Yeah, to avoid arbitration, 1 year, 9.25. Because I think they had. Uh, yeah, they had non-tendered him and then signed him back, right? To a
I don't
lower
know.
deal.
I don't know if they non-tendered him, but maybe.
Or it was right before the non-tender deadline that they did it. I don't remember. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
So
This
Willie,
this is going to be an interesting team this year. Willie is fantastic. He's a guy who last year 21 home runs, 330 OBP, 462 slug, really really good shortstop. I think he is going to be what they wanted Evan Longoria to be, what they wanted Matt Chapman to be. I think Willie Adames will be that. Um,
well, Matt Chapman, they love. They just he had an awesome season and they signed him to his own contract extension.
yeah, but he also he had a really good season, but he also didn't have uh, a Matt Chapman of old season either. Like he was
Oh,
still or offensively kind of eh. Um,
they basically got the same deal though. Like Chapman
wait,
just
what
got
the heck?
one fewer year, right?
Oh shoot! It was showing me his 2023 numbers a moment ago. No, yeah, his
Yeah.
2024 was fine. It was
They
good.
rewarded
My
him with
bad.
what, like a 6-year, $150 million deal or something?
Something crazy, yeah. Why did that show
Yeah.
me his old stats? What in the world? Oh, lol. It's because I was looking at Mike Yastrzemski's numbers. That'd do it.
Very different. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
that'd
Six
definitely
six
do it.
years. 6 years, 151 million for Matt Chapman.
Man, so
So those are your.
they've committed $323 million so far just across Adames and Chapman on the left side of their infield this year.
Yep. Yeah. And that's where I want to ask you about this whole Buster Posey thing, because this, to me, I mean, we're going to be tracking this for years and years, like at least however long Buster Posey's around. But this is just a fascinating situation of a guy that just came out of nowhere. I mean, like he's Buster, he knows who he is, but now running the team, like just a couple years after he was a player and didn't really have a whole lot of formal training or sitting behind a guy or learning from anyone. He's just like all of a sudden he's running the show. So it's going to be just absolutely fascinating to see the moves he makes and whether he's going to get like his lunch eaten by the Friedmans and the Hazens of the world. I mean, what do you think about Buster Posey taking this job?
So I don't know. It's kind of too early for me to tell.
It is, yeah.
So far, the two things that he's done so far in the Matt Chapman extension, which he did that before he was even like in the role, but they
Yeah.
kind of said that without him, it would not have happened.
It was him, yeah.
So it was him. Um, and then bringing in Adames, like those are kind of two can't miss things, I think. And it's also showing us the power the Giants had in the past. Like this is a team that used to spend money on free agents, used to build a team around guys like this and be able to continue to bring in talent. The part that we don't know is if they're going to be able to get back to developing talent. But the one thing that I can say for sure is that it kind of shows me that part of the reason that San Francisco struggled so much is because either Farhan is not a very good people person slash negotiator, or his hard line was so firm that there was no wiggle room. And if you went a penny over, he'd say, no, you're not worth it. And
Yeah.
that maybe statistically that could be true, but this is also a sport where you kind of have to go a bit overboard at times to get things done. So
Yeah.
it shows me that Posey is willing to be that guy who will go, okay, this is your value. I get we're San Francisco. We kind of need you here. I'll tack on an extra 3% or whatever to get the deal done. If it's that close, he'll get the deal done and it's going to be good for the team no matter what. You don't just pivot. Like it kind of
Yeah.
feels like the Correa situation. Correa might have actually still got that contract.
Yeah. And I was going to just bring up Correa and Judge because it seemed like the Giants ownership actually was backing uh, Farhan. Like they gave him the ability to go make the deals. Obviously, he didn't close them, and that's not necessarily a reflection on like his ability to draw free agents. Obviously, the free agent has to make the choice
Yeah.
to come, and like Aaron Judge didn't want to sign with the Giants; he wanted to sign with the Yankees. Correa did sign with the Giants, and only because of some strange injury information did that deal get nixed. I mean, yeah, like maybe Buster Posey is even better at convincing like the owners of the Giants that hey, we need to do this. We need to go sign the best shortstop on the market this year. Um, it totally this seems like a deal that makes so much sense that it actually happened because if I think about what Buster Posey would be looking for in a player, he's looking for like a super high character guy, just like Matt Chapman, who he also signed. Willie Adames is like regarded as one of the best teammates out there. He's just like a he's instant energy for any clubhouse. So that's going to be pretty awesome to have on this team. I really like this signing. I'm just worried if that's the way that Buster Posey's going to make all his decisions. If he's going to make all his decisions from the heart. Obviously, he didn't make a mistake with Willy Adames because he's also a great player. But like I don't know what his style is going to be as a GM.
Yeah, like all that we can see right now is that he's willing to go out and make the big move. What he does with the little moves, the jury's still out. But just look at what this one move does to the complexion of this team. It goes from Jung-Hoo Lee, who started out pretty good last year and then got hurt. Separated his shoulder, separated his labrum, something like that. And then second base was Wilmer Flores. And then Tyler Fitzgerald, Lamont Wade, Matt Chapman, Yastrzemski, Elliot Ramos, who did break out last year, Patrick Bailey, who's been pretty good, and then Grant McCrae. So you got a lot of young guys, a lot of unprovens, but now you swap out your Wilmer Flores, who is kind of older guy, decent but not amazing, put Willy Adames there. So you massively upgrade your shortstop position, move Tyler Fitzgerald, who played really well, over to second base. You still have like one or two prospects who can pan out there to come in as depth. And this is a lot more frightening lineup just putting Adames in at the 4 spot.
Yeah. It's not bad. I would like to see them add another bat, really 2 bats. Then I'd be feeling even better.
Yeah. Honestly, I think they need a left fielder.
Is Barry Bonds available?
Maybe. But
okay, cool.
So their left fielder is going to be some form of like Grant McCrae, Brett Wisely, I think, right now. Maybe Gerard Encarnacion.
Oh. Okay, yeah.
But no one there that really screams great left fielder.
Yeah.
Maybe Wade Meckler's back up. Maybe Luis Matos, but
yeah, they should sign Teoscar. That would be good, right?
Yeah. And the Dodgers are still in on Teoscar, so the Giants need to just go and sign him to a 2 or 3 year deal, pop him out there, and call it a day. Steal a guy from the Dodgers, upgrade your lineup pretty heavily there. Put him at the 4 spot, Adames at your 3 spot, and this just went from a better than last year lineup to kind of a good lineup.
Yeah.
So
we like what Buster's doing to start his career as a president. We'll see how it goes. I guess they've got a lot of work to do, especially playing the division that they do. Mm-hmm. They got to play the Dodgers a lot. The Diamondbacks are still good. I mean,
the Padres are probably the most underrated, amazing team out there.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So it's tough. It's a very tough job.
Yes, it is. Seems like he's up for it, though.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So that is what we've got, and hopefully by the time we talk to you again next week, we'll know where Juan Soto is, and we'll know how the dominoes are going to start to fall, and should make for some interesting discussions. So thank you for joining us, and we'll talk to you then.
If you enjoy the podcast, please subscribe on your favorite podcasting app or YouTube to make sure you don't miss any future episodes. Join the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Getaway Day Pod. If you enjoy card collecting, check out our sister YouTube channel at Getaway Day Cards.